2023, aka New Year. That time of the year when people take a look back at the year gone by and think about the possibilities in the coming year. It's like a little self appraisal that we do to assess ourselves and our lives. This introspection leads to a corrective action, that is, New Year resolution. It's something that most of us think we should do but seldom do. Most of us are not novices to this task and have fallen short of it before, but we make peace within ourselves with the feeling, at least I tried. And we overlook the fact that this act of not living up to our own expectations registers itself. Water is not under the bridge. This leads to a psychological jargon called cognitive dissonance, a mental conflict that occurs when your beliefs don't line up with your actions. Instead of self-improvement, you have evidently reinforced that you are a quitter, or your self-assessment is inaccurate, or your thoughts don't match your actions. As explained in the book by Mr. Bessel van der Kolk, the body keeps the score. The mind also keeps the score. That's the dark side of New Year's resolutions. But we don't realize that it affects us more than we know. Let me explain. We tend to have a notion that we are one single entity. Who am I? I am Adam Smith, which is correct. But the reality is much more intricate than this notion. A man has as many social cells as there are individuals who recognize them. William James, The Principles of Psychology. The mind is a mosaic. We all have parts. Right now, a part of me feels like taking a nap. Another part wants to keep making this video. Still feeling injured by an offensive text message, a part of me wants to hit reply. But a different part wants to shrug it off. Most people who know me have seen my intense, sincere, and irritable parts. Some have met the little snarling dog that lives inside me, and some like to travel with my playful and adventurous parts. Parts are not just feelings, but distinct ways of being, with their own beliefs, agendas, and roles in our lives. How well we get along with ourselves depends on our internal leadership skills. How well we listen to our different parts, make sure they feel taken care of, and keep them from sabotaging one another. William James wrote, "It must be admitted that the total possible consciousness may be split into parts which coexist but mutually ignore each other and share the objects of knowledge between them." Carl Jung wrote, "The psyche is a self-regulating system that maintains its equilibrium just as the body does. The natural state of the human psyche consists of the jostling together of its components and in their contradictory behavior. The reconciliation of these opposites is a major problem. Thus, the adversary is none other than the other in me."
Michael Gazzaniga concluded
that the mind is composed of semi-autonomous functioning modules, each of which has a special role. In his book, The Social Brain, he writes, "One of the ideas is that the self is not a unified being, and there may exist within us several realms of consciousness. From our split brain studies, the new idea emerges that there are literally several cells, and they do not necessarily converse with each other internally." MIT scientist Marvin Minsky declared, "The legend of the single self can only divert us from the target of that inquiry. It can make sense to think there exists inside your brain a society of different minds. Like members of a family, the different minds can work together to help each other, each still having its own mental experiences that the others never know about." As per Dr. Richard Schwartz, the developer of the internal family systems model, there are three primary parts: childlike and fun, but if damaged, can be locked by us. IFS calls them exiles. Critical and perfectionistic managers, emergency responders who act impulsively, firefighters. All these parts have a function: to protect the self. Each holds different memories, beliefs, and physical sensations. The idea is to create synergy between these parts. The self, Adam Smith, is like an orchestra conductor and makes all these parts work which can result in a symphony or a cacophony. The higher contradictions within a person, higher is the amount of dissonance. So, should we stop making resolutions at all? I will say something is better than nothing. If you are the kind of person who hasn't lived up to the resolutions you made for yourself in the previous years and dropped them once the fad is over, this year we can do something about it. How about the resolution? My New Year resolution is that I will affirm myself that I can live up to the promises I make with thyself. Sound? Choose any task which you have to do on a daily basis that you think will be the easiest and the best for you. After all, no one can tell you what you need better than your own self. The idea is to be honest about it and make sure you do that task for 5 minutes every day. For example, exercising for 5 minutes or reading for 5 minutes. But the main focus is on one and only one thing: consistency. Doing that task for 5 minutes every day of every week. At the end of the year, you will have at least 2 things: 30 hours of work towards your goal, evidence that you can live by your promises, and gain the trust of all your paths that you are there for them. I found this article from the New York Times much relevant. You can find the link in the description, and on your way to this article, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.